we so happy to have a guy. He's done so much. I can't even go down the list. I mean, I was curious about all this voiceover stuff he's doing.
Ooh.
Letting his voice a lot of projects. You know what I'm saying? So I got to find out more about that.
He's the man behind the voice.
That's right. and he's rocking at Good Nights this weekend with the stand up, man. And he got his hour show out on Comedy Central for the first time in the sports shop. Give it up for Ron Funches. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me. I didn't know we were trying to get people impregnated this morning.
You said it'll happen.
It will. You guys are gonna make some people babies this weekend.
Well, you never do that on Wednesday, but hey.
Wednesday's hump day, but we're taking the Friday too. What's up, bro? How you been? Everything's good with you?
Oh, it's good. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be, in the new year, get back to work and get going.
I know you're at Good Nights this weekend, particularly tonight, 7:30 and 10, and tomorrow night, 7:30 and 10. You was here last night. How was the crowd last night?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I love coming to North Carolina. It's one of my favorite places. My mom and my sister were in Greensboro for several years.
Okay.
So I like coming here and coming and visit. It's just great people.
Man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. And you're originally from Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, Illinois is where I was raised.
Chi-town.
Yeah. Built it myself. I didn't do a great job.
Wow. Where'd you get hung up on? Just like just the buildings?
Just
the bridges
the
or
buildings, the shootings. I didn't cover everything.
Just the basic infrastructure got to throw you off a little bit.
Like roads.
The basic infrastructure.
Highways, stuff like that, right?
The bootlegged in the 60s, 50s.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of threw you off a little bit.
Elliot Ness and all the boys.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. And then the mob. You forget about the mob.
The mob kind of threw you for a curve at you. Okay, all right.
But Ron, I am curious. I mentioned when I was introducing you about lending your voice to a lot of projects. How cool is that when you you're lending your voice to projects and you actually see it kind of come to fruition? Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, it's probably. It's the best job that I have outside of just doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Because stand-up is so immediate. You just do it right away and get the reaction right away. With the voiceovers, a lot of times I don't see it for like a year and a half. Yeah. And so I forget about it.
Hey, K-Mac, it must be nice, right? Man, I forgot about those things I did a year ago.
Sister Mark, I said, I heard you. Really? When did I do that? That was
2017.
That was the summer I was in Bali. You're like, I'm sorry.
My bad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's cool because a lot of it with my son. I have a son who doesn't necessarily enjoy my stand-up, but he likes my voice acting. He likes when I'm in like Bob's Burgers or Adventure Time and seeing him, or like the Trolls movie, I'm in the Trolls franchise, and having my friends call me and be like, "Can you talk to my kid?" It's like that's my favorite thing.
What role did you have for Bob's Burgers? I like that.
I've done a few things on Bob's Burgers.
Like a few different people?
Yeah, just come in for different recurring things. I played a guy who was real into My Little Ponies once, and that was and then a guy who ran a radio station.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're very versatile.
No, it's the same voice.
It's like, hey, isn't this the same guy that likes ponies?
Now he's running a radio station.
Now he's running a radio station.
Well,
same guy.
Yeah, he gets around.
We know him. We know that guy. We know a guy that likes My Little Pony. That's another story for another day. That's another story for another. So like you're doing comedy, you're doing voiceover, you're doing all these other things. Like, what's your favorite thing like to do just in this space? What's your favorite thing to do that
Stand
really
up.
gets you going? Stand up,
my favorite, because it's just again the most immediate. I can come up with a joke that I thought of that night or that day or right before I get on stage, and I can see if
right
it
before
works.
this light comes on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just have fun and you just talk and you learn your rhythm and you're like, something comes out and it's great, and you don't have to audition for it. You don't have to prove to somebody that you could do do it. You know, you have to do that over time. But as far as like proving to someone that I'm worth this part or something like that, there's a lot more hurdles when it comes to acting and stuff like that.
Man, we're talking to a comedian, actor, and writer, if you will, Ron Funches, who's at Good Nights this weekend, 7:30 and 10, and 7:30 and 10 tomorrow night. When people show up over there in Good Nights, what can they expect to see and hear when they get over there?
They could just expect to hear about what's going on in my life. My type of comedy is like call it sharply optimistic. It's pretty positive. It's not much politics at all. So if you're into that, you might want to look elsewhere. But it's just me talking about my life, talking about my growth, talking about my son. I'm a single dad of a 16-year-old son with autism, so I get a lot of material from that.
Okay.
Talking about my health journey. I lost over 100 pounds the last few years. So talking a bit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I just talk a lot about that, talk about my life, and it's just real silly. So if you're not into silly stuff, if you come for seriousness, you might want to go to a different show.
And Ron, one of our loyal listeners, Perry and Carrie, wanted us to ask you, you're also a big into pro wrestling. You're a regular at both major events at indie shows. How'd you become a big wrestling fanatic?
It's just I grew up in a house in Chicago. It's just all women. My mom, my aunt, my sister, my aunt's daughter, and my only kind of escape from playing like pretty princess or whatever they wanted to do all day, which is usually have me massage their shoulders, was that my uncle would take me out to the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago and would take me to go see Hulk Hogan, Earthquake, and the people like that, and I fell in love with it when I was like 5 years old and never stopped. And now I've been lucky enough to be involved with some people. I got to announce a couple of matches with Jerry King Lawler, and that was real cool. Wow. And I got to go to Ric Flair's birthday party, and that was probably an amazing time.
Now
that's big time there, man.
Now we talking.
Yeah.
Ric Flair's in my comedy special.
That's right.
Ric Flair's birthday party. I'm sure that was quite an event.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was full of like. That's when you know you really did something. Because a lot of people disrespect wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
But when you go to Ric Flair's birthday party and you see there's like governors and senators and like Todd Gurley and Charles Barkley and Dennis Rodman, you're like, wrestling is important.
It's important. You need this is a cornerstone of our society. We should respect that.
Absolutely.
So,
100%.
as a form of entertainment, but not necessarily a sport.
I agree with that, but they get hurt too. They get hurt all the same. It's a predetermined sport, a lot like a lot of basketball games.
True that.
He said
true that. Quite a few.
You're gonna watch the Royal Rumble on Sunday?
Oh, you know I'm watching the Royal Rumble on Sunday.
Who's your favorite? Who'd you say is your favorite wrestler
of all time?
Or of all time or right now, maybe.
Okay. All time, my favorite is Ric Flair, of course. He's the best. And then right now, my favorite is probably this guy named Nick Gage, mostly because he's insane and he's a former gang member who got arrested and for like a lot of things, and now he's back out in wrestling, and he's like terrifying. He's truly terrifying.
I mean, he's in this Combat Zone wrestling.
Combat Zone and GCW, but he's got his whole crew that he's got going on.
See, here's the problem,
okay, hold on, you two. Y'all just geeked out on us, and I missed it. Combat Zone wrestling. What is that?
Oh, there's a lot of little independent leagues outside of the WWE.
So that's like the G League or something.
It's like the G League, except for like instead of like. Lower. They are lower level, but they also jump into barbed wire and do things like that.
Yeah,
so it's insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jumping the barbed wire.
Yeah, I think Vice did a whole special on the Combat Zone wrestling.
So this is where people get the idea to like jump off the roof onto the table.
Okay, you said you don't watch, but you watch.
I mean, trust me. The invasion of YouTube, they'll show you a clip in a heartbeat. They'll show you, and I'm just all right. So that's where people get these, these extreme.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, Look, we all grew up as kids, man. I'm a Junkyard Dog fan from back in the day, so
all right.
Yeah, so
AYD.
Yeah, you know this. So
I love
Andre the Giant, all those.
I have no idea what you're
don't.
I just Googled with Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, Ron, did you ever jump in the ring yourself?
Yeah, I went to wrestling school last year for about 3 months.
This gets even better.
It gets better. For 3 months.
Yeah, for 3 months. I thought it'd be cool that I get to hit people with chairs and stuff. But they just made me do squats until I vomited. So I left.
For 3 months? That's a lot of squats.
It was a lot of squats. One day I did 300 squats.
Oh,
it
my
was
goodness.
insane.
They were like, did the check clear yet?
I was like, I just wanted to wear sparkly jackets and put a bird on my shoulder or something.
Like Coco Beware.
You knew who I was talking about.
But see, y'all, but Michael's like in hog heaven up here. I have no idea what y'all talking about.
Hopefully Perry's at work or something, so he can't call. This would just get even worse.
I mean, seriously, I'm like, what are they talking about? But Michael, go ahead and take the interview over, man. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Any other unique sports that you like?
Who do you want to see in the main event of WrestleMania?
Who do I want to see? I want to see Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. I think that would be a great match.
That'd be a great one.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great match.
I'm with Jasmine. Let's Google this because we told out.
This is a first in history.
I thought you guys were a sports station.
We are.
Again, it's not a sport.
Okay. Who are you to decide? Who are you to decide?
Do they keep score?
Sometimes they do. They keep scoring falls.
Who do you like, Becky Lynch or Asuka
Here we
this
go.
Sunday?
I want
See what I'm saying?
Oscar to win.
Oscar.
I want Oscar too. I don't know who Oscar is, but you
Oscar
want
the
I think you like Oscar.
I like
think you
Oscar.
like Oscar.
Grouch.
You like fun Japanese women. She's delightful.
Oh, that's
Oscar's a woman?
Oscar is a woman who is Japanese.
Let me Google
And she's got a
Oscar.
pretty-
What's the other person?
Becky Lynch.
Becky
She's
Lynch.
Irish.
Is fighting the Oscar. Mm-hmm. See, I was curious about that because I was like, I said, why is Becky fighting the guy?
And Ric Flair's daughter is also wrestling.
Yes, she is actually.
Her wrestling name's Charlotte Flair.
Okay,
Charlotte Flair.
okay.
Real
She,
name is
I'm with
Ashley.
that. I'm with you. Right.
She
I'm with
drove
I thought you might be interested.
I'm with that for real. While you play.
Now this kind of sport I can watch.
Yeah, why y'all didn't bring this up from the beginning? I'll put it all in.
That's why anybody who doesn't like wrestling, that's a quick way. It's like, you like half-naked people who are in good shape? Check it out.
Good. Intern Ellen wanted me to ask you, what do you think of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt?
Oh, I mean, of course, I love The Fiend. It's a great character. He's insane. I'm a big fan of it, but I don't think he needs the title. He needs to lose.
So what's been the most disappointing storyline in wrestling in recent that you probably don't?
Why
like?
are you asking questions you don't know nothing about? This is the vaguest question.
I was waiting for it to take it too. I was like, well, yo, you going too far.
I think you probably
going too far.
I think you probably agree with us that Rusev and Lana and that whole angle,
everybody.
the affair with Bobby
That's
Lashley.
why I was like, he didn't know. Otherwise, he would have said that right away. Everybody knows it is the Rusev and Lana storyline. It's trash.
Then Liv
Rusev should be
Morgan
doing
comes
much
in
better.
and ruins the wedding.
Oh, I like seeing Liv wherever she pops up, but mostly Mandy Rose. Welcome to Wrestling Chat.
I really talked about it like it's a real thing.
It's the Go Get Over
It's
podcast.
real to them. K-Mac. It's real to them.
In the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God! What's the storyline of Rufus and Rana?
Oh man, okay. Well, I'll tell you, Rusev, man, he's just a good husband, trying his hardest, just trying out there to support his wife, but she out there running around on him, running around trying to date Bobby Lashley, which I get.
Bobby Lashley.
Big buff black dude, but he also, Rusev is trying his hardest, and then
Rusev Machka.
Rusev crush.
Oh my God! I cannot.
I just feel bad for him.
I got to introduce you to one of our former colleagues, Chris Morris.
I have to tell you this. At least I am intrigued with all these storylines.
Yeah.
I gotta upgrade my game, man.
It's the best thing I've heard all day. Rufus, what's her name?
Rufus.
Oh my God! Oh man!
Oh my God! And we're so happy to be rocking with Ron Funches, who just gave us educational wrestling, by the way.
Yeah,
Wrestling 101.
he's a true aficionado.
Exactly. And by the way, he's a comedian, writer, and big time actor as well. So he's all that.
He's an all-around talented individual.
Renaissance man.
I did want to ask
He started
you,
the Renaissance in Chicago.
Speaking of starting, how did you get started in this business? I'm curious.
Just something I always wanted to do since I was 5 years old, but it just took a long time. It took me having my son, and then my son being diagnosed with autism, where I was like, oh, I got to figure out a career. I got to figure out what I want to do, and comedy was the only thing that I was willing to start at the bottom of. So I just started open micing in Portland at 23, and
Wow.
kept going in Oregon until I was 30, and then got divorced and moved to Los Angeles, got in the acting class, and just been grinding.
Wow. It's always we always curious to see how people get their story. That's a different way, but everybody has a
So it was just the idea of, hey, I need a career that you started. Has no one like encouraged you or say, you know what, you are pretty funny? Or did you just think you were the only person who thought you were funny? Or how?
No, people thought it was funny. People thought it was funny. But I just didn't think it was a real job. You know, when you first start out, you only see like big people like, you know, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, things like that. And you're like, oh, I'm not that. But if you ever get a chance to go to an open mic and you see just people from all skill levels, you're like, oh, I could do better than that.
You're like, I got him on lunch break. In my sleep, I can get him.
Yeah, exactly.
I got him at the family reunion. I wouldn't even try it.
exactly.
So what did your mom need to think about it when you first told her to say, I think I'm gonna be doing open mics in Portland?
My mom was actually, it's funny, like I think people who know you well, you know, anyone who kind of knew me a little bit was like, oh, you're real shy and you're quiet. How are you gonna be a comedian?
Right.
But my mom was like, yeah, that makes sense. She's like, but if you're gonna do it, you got a son, you got, you know, it better be full focus. That's what you're working on. And so I took that to heart and was just focused on that. And she was real supportive for the first few years until I kept asking for her to pay my phone bill.
And she said, you don't sound focused to me, son. Because if you calling me, you don't sound focused. I'm sorry, if someone else is calling me for you, you don't sound focused.
Exactly. So it took its turns, but now she couldn't be happier. She could not be happier. She has one kid who does well acting, and my sister is a doctor, so she's killing it. Yeah.
Oh man, that's what's up. So and you also do voiceovers, and you lend your voice for a lot of projects. Can you give us some little snippet of one of your characters?
One of my characters?
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty much this. Hi.
I knew he was going to say that.
He said, it's going to be real short. You got to catch it.
Hi, this is me. This is my voice, and then they just put it on different things.
What got you into voice acting?
That's funny.
Just be you.
Just be you.
Yeah, pretty much. It was, especially, you know, like I said, especially when I was 100 pounds heavier, a lot of people were just like, oh, it's weird you are a large black man with a voice of an Asian schoolgirl. So, a lot of people made fun of me, you know. A lot of kids made fun of me when I was younger. Both of you would have made fun of me.
Wait a minute.
She would have made fun of you. She would have made fun of you too.
Whoa.
Yeah, you would have.
Oh, she would have got you. She would have got you, man. She would have got you.
Believe me. She would have never done it in your face.
Yeah, but she would have got you.
Oh, that's not true.
I can see it.
How dare you guys not skip a beat?
No, you don't know. As soon as you walked on, you say, "Did you hear his voice?"
I would not have done that.
She would have shaded you quick.
Oh, I know. I know your type.
That's right, Michael.
Again, we're talking with comedian Ron Funches, who'll be performing this weekend at Good Nights Comedy Club. And
I know you.
One of your most recent projects, which I'm intrigued by, is Harley Quinn, the TV series that's streaming on DC Universe right now, I believe. And you play King Shark. Just tell us about how you got that role. And are you a big comic book fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big nerd of most things. So, you know, wrestling, comic books, video games. I'm into all of it. And it was just lucky. I was on another DC show which was about people who did not have superpowers called Powerless. And nobody liked that because they were like, we like people with superpowers.
Why would I want to watch a show about me?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But so then they started working on this Harley Quinn thing, which is, people who don't know, is Joker's on again, off again mate, and she makes her own team, and I'm one of her henchmen, King Shark, who's a murderous shark man who's also very intelligent and kind.
That is. Is also very intelligent and kind to boot.
That's pretty strong. Last question for me. You live in LA now, and you've been traveling all around. You work your way up through, like you said, doing open mics. What's probably been the weirdest thing that stands out to you during all of this that you just say that is different?
That's a good question.
Some people say it's walking in here and seeing two black guys.
That's not weird in North Carolina. It's not weird at all. I'd say just how quickly you can, like, the people who you looked up to and start watching on TV, how they can become your friends, and you're like in the same area with them. Like the fact that I've gotten to like open for Dave Chappelle and talk to him, or like just Wanda Sykes coming up to me one day and just being like, "Why aren't you in theaters? You're good at comedy. Get in theaters." And I'm like, "I'm trying, Wanda." And so things like that, which really help, push me along. When people who you grew up looking up to are telling you that you can do it, it's the weirdest but also the coolest.
When did you know that you say, you know what, I think not necessarily I made it, but I've reached a level that I didn't think I'd ever reach?
I don't think you ever feel that, I don't feel like you made it, but it's my biggest accomplishment was when I was able to buy my son a house. When I got him a house, and all he ever wanted was a pool and his own space, and to go from being single dad, making at one point in my comedy career, I did my taxes, I made $7,000 in a year.
Oh wow!
And to go to that, to buying a house that was in Los Angeles, so
we know.
You
ain't gotta say no more. The pockets gotta be straight for that. I'm telling you right now.
Look, I hope your son know. Dad put some money out for him.
Well, that's the favorite part, is that he walked in there. I was like, "Oh, it's so amazing." He walked in there like, "Yeah, this is what I deserve."
About time, Dad.
This is what I expect right here.
Yeah.
Like, look, who cares about WWE? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
That's a great story. It really is. That's what's up.
That's pretty cool.
You can go hear more stories, and I'm sure tonight at 7:30 and 10 at Good Nights, as well as 7:30 and 10 tomorrow night. Ron, appreciate you, brother.
It's been a pleasure.
That's been a true pleasure.